Hi, this is a presentation of how to configure static and specific static default routes, and it's part of my CCNA2 course. When we're going to set up a static route, we are using the command ip_route, and then the network address, which is the network address to where we want to go, and then the subnet mask of that network, and then either we can use the IP address of the next hop router, or we can use the exit interface. And we can also put in the distance, the administrative distance, which is used when we are using a floating static route. So either when we are doing this, well, if we have the next hop routing IP address, we will put that in. Or we can do it on the exit interface. If we have that, well, we have the exit interface, and if it could be done with just putting it out through the interface. Sometimes we also use both of them, where we use both the next hop IP address and the exit interfaces. So if we want to do it like here, we are now in router 1. I want to make a connection to the networks behind router 2 and also behind router 3. And in this case here, when I want to make a route to 172.16.10, which is the addresses behind router 2, well, then I will go to the IP address called 172.16.22, which is the IP address of, over here, the interface over here, the neighboring router's IP address, which is connected to the same network as router 1. So whenever I want to send something up here, I will send it over here, and then router 2 will take care of how to route the packets onwards. Same thing here. If I want to go over here, I'll also just send it up here. Nothing about sending it over to another interface over here. The next hop IP address must always be on the same network as I'm directly connected to. Otherwise, I will not know what to do with it. So this is how to configure a normal static route. We can also, for instance, in this case here, where I have a point-to-point connection between these two routers on a static or a serial link, instead of using the next hop IP address over here, well, then I can actually just say that I will send it out of serial 000. In this case here, it's the router's own exit interface. It's not the neighbor as it is when we are using the next hop IP, but it's the router's own exit interface, or serial interface in this case here. So here, instead of making it for the next hop IP address, we can make the same routes, just say that I want to send them out on my serial 000. It's better to use, if we can use the exit interfaces, it's better to use them, because I only will have to route once. When I use the next hop IP, well, then I also have to look into my routing table to find the next hop IP address. When I do it on the exit interface, I don't need any more routing. I'll just send it out to the interface, and it will find out what to do with it. Or I can do as I do here, where I have both the exit interface and the next hop IP address. Could be done. Okay, to verify it, well, of course, we always use show IP route to see our entire routing table, and we will see when we have a static route, we will have an S in front of it, which means that this is something that we have configured statically. We can also see we can pipe out a different section if I want to see one specific route in my routing table, for instance, by using command show IP route and then the interface or the IP address. Then it will show us how to get there. A default static route is something, it's also called a quad 0 route, is where I route to 4 times 0 and 4 times 0 as the subnet mask. This means all networks. So it's like the default gateway, but a default route. So here means that when I get something into my routing table or an IP address and I don't find the entry in my routing table, if I have a default route, I will automatically just send it out there. It's something if you want to have access to the internet, of course you don't know all the IP addresses available on the internet, and then you use the default static route to route traffic out to the internet. And it can also be done by an X-top IP or an exit interface, the same way as the other ones that we just looked at, the normal static route. Yeah? So here we could have made, if I don't want to explicit say I want to reach these 3 or 4 different networks, I'll just say whenever I'm in router 1 and I want to get connected to the rest, I'll send my information up to router 2. So I can also, instead of having 3 static routes, which I had in the earlier example, well then here I'll just put in a static route to 4 times 0, which means whenever I get something that's not my own network, I'll send it up here. With the next hop address again, 172.16.2.2, it's router 2's interface up here. Yeah. This is also what is called the gateway of last resort. And you can say whenever I don't know anything where to send it, I will send it up to this IP address. I will see that in my routing table. When we are setting up static routing in IP version 6, well, it's basically done the same way. We just use the command IPv6 route and then the routing the address of the network we want to route to and the subnet mask, which in this case is the prefix length. And then the next hop address or the exit interface, same way. We do it either here also with the next hop IP address or the exit interface or both. Here an example, if I want to go to these 3 networks from router number 1, well, then I can make a default route or a static route to these. In this case here, it's done by setting it up with the exit interface here. This address here, down here, is the exit interface, or the next hop IP address over here. Yeah? Or same thing here, we can do it with the exit interface. The exit interface is the same in IP version 4 and IP version 6 because this is just a physical interface that we are sending it out on. Yeah, or we can do both. We can put it in with both an exit interface and an IP address. We will use the commands here to verify it. Show IP version 6 route, show IP version 6 route static, or show IP version 6 route and then the route we want to show. Yeah. When we want to do a default route in IP version 6, it's quite simple. We don't put in a number of zeros, we just put 2 colons. 2 colons means 128 zeros. And a slash zeros, 0 in the prefix means all networks. So ::/0 means default network in IP version 6. And the same thing here could be done with an exit interface or it can be done with a next hop route. If you want to configure the floating static routes, both in IP version 6 or in IP version 4, well then we just need to set up the administrative distance again, and we need to make it larger than the one we want to be the preferred route. So here, for instance, if I want to have a backup route to the network or to my default network, well then here, the second sentence here, this is the backup because I have an AD of 5. The administrative distance here is set to 5. And the default for a static route is 1. So it will always prefer this one, but if this one goes down and we are not able to send traffic this way, it will choose this one here as my backup route. To test them and to set them up, well, you use the show IP route command. You can use traceroute to see which way the traffic will go. We will also see, or we have seen in our when we do a show IP route, we will also see that the interface themselves can be seen in the routing table with an L in front of it. This is the local link, which is the specific IP address of our interfaces on the router. We will always see them as an L in front of them, both in IP version 4 and IP version 6. And when you want to see the static routes, you can also see them with an S in front of them. And of course, you can also route to a specific host. If I have a web server or anything on my local network which I also want to route directly to, well, that could also be done with a /128 in IP version 6 or a subnet mask of /32 in IP version 4, which means the entire host IP address we will route to. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you.